Hello everyone and welcome to the greenhouse. I hope this video finds you well. If this is your first time here in the greenhouse with us, welcome. I'm Danny. I'm happy you're here. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm always happy to have you. Before I dive into this video, I want to take the time to say my viewers are awesome. You guys are awesome. This will be the third orchid that a viewer has ID'd for me. And this time, this is my oldest mini Phalaenopsis, and my viewer and friend Crystal positively ID'd this for me, and I thank you so much, Crystal. Now this is part 2 of busting myths or old wives' tales video. I decided to do a second one because the first one got such a good response from everybody. So I decided to do a second one. I'll leave a link to the first one in the description for you guys if you want to check that out. But get ready for some real talk here, you guys. Let's dive into it. The first myth or old wives' tale is smoking around your orchids is okay for them. Well, in short term, yes, your orchids will be okay, but smoking in a home around your orchids long term will eventually have a negative effect on your orchids. Cigarette smoke has tar in it, and that tar starts clogging the stomatal pores on your orchid, the breathing mechanism of your orchid. The mechanism that does the gas exchange. So have you ever been in a smoker's home or a home that a smoker just moved out of and all of the walls are stained yellow? That's because it's from the cigarette smoke. Smoking around your orchids long term will have a negative effect on them because eventually they cannot do the gas exchange they need to do properly because their stomatal pores are clogged. Just like if we can't breathe, we start declining and eventually die, your orchids will start declining and eventually die. Don't smoke around your orchids just as you wouldn't smoke around your loved ones or smoke inside with your kids inside your home. Smoking around your orchids is not okay. Are you ready for the next one? And this one I hear a lot, and a lot of people might disagree with me, but I am talking from my own experience. And the next myth is, do not fertilize your orchid, your Phalaenopsis orchid, while in bloom. It will make your blooms fade and fall faster if you fertilize it while in bloom. I have never, ever found this to be true. I have some foul blooms in here that have been in bloom since October of last year, and it is now the end of February. This one's been in bloom longer than October. This one, little orange one right here. These two white ones. This one's been in bloom since before October, and I do not change one thing when it comes to my fertilizing routine when my orchids start spiking or in bloom. I feel like this myth or old wives' tale makes its rounds because, as I mentioned in my last myth video, which I'll leave the link in the description, there's also a myth that some believe orchids can't perform more than one function at a time. Okay, keep up with me now. Hold on. So when your orchid is not actively spiking or blooming, some people think that it's, just growing its leaves, just growing its roots, and that's when it needs its nutrition. Which, yeah, it needs its nutrition then, but it also still needs nutrition while it's spiking and blooming. Just not as much. Just not as much. But if you're growing Phalaenopsis orchids and you're fertilizing them, you should be fertilizing them weekly. Weekly. I don't mean like every other week. I mean weekly. Like not a strong fertilizer. So if you're already fertilizing your orchids very weekly, it's fine. It still needs its nutrients, whether it's growing a new leaf, new roots, new flower spike, in bloom, or doing all of those at the same time. It still needs its nutrients. So just don't change anything about your fertilizing routine. I have not, and I have blooms in here that have been in here for months. I fertilize every other watering, which means I probably fertilize 4 or 5 times a month, but it's a very weak dose. There has been nothing to prove in my experience that fertilizing your blooming Phalaenopsis orchid will make those blooms fall and fade faster. If you are still here, thanks for staying tuned. I know this is kind of a long one, but this last one is worth it. And I think it's one of the biggest things we hear. And I have mentioned it before in quite a few of my videos. But the next one, the last one, ice cubes to water your Phalaenopsis orchids. No, no, no. Now, I visited the Just Add Ice company's website. And now per their Just Add Ice company webpage, they justify this method of watering with ice cubes, and they make it sound really convincing. And I'm gonna read you and quote to you what their website says. Here it is, quote, "Watering orchids with ice cubes mimics the slow drip of water from leaves in tropical climates where orchids grow. So while you won't find ice where most orchids grow in nature, the slow melting of the ice cubes watering method still makes sense. The ice cube watering method ensures your orchid receives just the right amount of water, no more, no less." End quote. That sounds pretty convincing, especially to beginners, right? Now, take the fact that ice cubes are literally freezing cold out of the equation. 2 to 3 ice cubes once a week would not be nearly enough water, nutrition for my medium to big size Phalaenopsis. They would die quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that just kind of ties in to kind of a marketing scheme, I believe. But also, if you're just supposed to give your Phalaenopsis 2 or 3 ice cubes a week, how are you supposed to fertilize it? And not all of those roots will be getting water to them. And then they'll start drying out. Your orchid will become dehydrated. Not even mentioning root burn from freezing cold ice sitting on the same root for probably an hour. Doing this method just doesn't work, and it causes more harm than good. I want to hear some of the old wives' tales, some of the myths that you guys hear about growing Phalaenopsis orchids. I truly hope this helps, and I hope it was informative for you guys. And it's been a lot of fun doing this video and the last video. Happy growing, everybody. Stay safe, stay warm. Till next time.